Greetings and welcome back to another episode of the Urban Bible Podcast, where we talk about the Bible in a way that everybody can understand. So, I hope that y'all are all caught up on these episodes because we rolling fast right now. If you remember where we left off, Abram and Sarai and them got kicked out of Egypt because he lied and said that Sarai was his sister, and Pharaoh wasn't feeling it at all because the Lord, the Lord's hand was mighty on them. And so where we pick up at is Abram left Egypt and was like, okay, we got to find somewhere to go. We got kicked out. So they went back to the Negev, right? And he took his wife Sarai and everything that he owned, and his nephew Lot was still in tow, right? So Abram had become very wealthy. Pharaoh was just lavishing him with gifts while he was trying to entertain Sarai. And, just over time, he had accumulated a lot of wealth in the form of livestock and cattle and silver and gold. Like Abram was loaded. Like, I mean, he was loaded. He was top dog out there. Big Abram, not the little one. Okay. So Abram had wandered from place to place. They were still trying to find their way. I don't know if the famine was still popping off, but he was still trying to find their way. And he ended up back between Bethel and Ai, where he had built that altar to the Lord the first time we talked about it, when God appeared to him and he was like, I'm going to build an altar right here. So he ended up right back there. And so he went back to where that altar was and started worshiping God again. Think about this, right? In every season, everywhere that you are, worship God for the season that you're in. Like, Abram just got kicked out of Egypt. He wandering around trying to find somewhere to go, and he lands back where he was. But at the end of the day, he still chose to worship God. Not because he had to go back to where he came from, but because God had carried him through all of that, and God had allowed him to accumulate wealth throughout all that time. And so Abram worshiped God, as we should, right? So here is where it's starting to get a little thick, all right? Abram and Lot had been traveling together. So, Lot had his own like family and livestock and wealth and all of that. And Abram had his. So, we talking about big Abram right now, right? So they had so much like wealth, had accumulated so much wealth that they were running out of space. Mind you, where they were living where the Canaanites and the Perizzites were also living. So it was the Canaanites, Perizzites, Abram, Lot, all of their stuff, right? And so the land couldn't hold them, right? So it started to become an issue. Like Abram's men and Lot's men, the herdsmen started fighting over the territory and started arguing about, oh, that's supposed to be over here. No, that's supposed to be over here. And so they were just over there cramped up. They had outgrew the space that they were in, right? Now let me pause right here again. So I want you to think about, as God has brought you through life, are you cramped up and have you outgrown the space that you're in? If yes, then what we doing? If no, then enjoy the ride, all right? So the herdsmen arguing, they going back and forth with each other. And so Abram was like, boom, let me be the voice of reason right now. So he's like, look, we don't need to be fussing and fighting because we family. Like, you my fam, like we fam. So this whole land open, bro. Like, I pick somewhere to go. You ain't gotta stay with me. You pick somewhere to go. If you choose to go left, I'm gonna go right. If you choose to go right, I'm gonna go left. Wherever you wanna go there. I'm gonna still be your big unc, right? But wherever you choose to go there. And so he was like, listen, we're gonna have to figure this out and we're gonna have to split up. I just feel like there are so many lessons in this like little segment, because at this point it's like you done outgrew the people that you done came up with. Not that you don't love them, but you done outgrew them. Okay, I can't. I'm not even going down the rabbit hole today because I'm gonna try to stay on my best behavior. So Lot looked around and he saw the area near the Jordan Valley where the grass was green and lavish and the land was fertile. The land produced a lot of things. And it was well watered. And the Bible says that it was kind of like the garden of the Lord, which we already know was the Garden of Eden, and it was like the land of Egypt. So these two big places that is what the land looked like, okay? It looked like that. All right. So Lot chose to go where the grass was green and shiny towards the east, right? Now, everything that looked good ain't always good, like just to let you know. Because where my boy ended up going was Sodom. This is before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, but Lot ended up in the cities of the area and pitched his tent in Sodom. And at that time, like we know of Sodom anyway, the men that lived there were wicked and they were sinning greatly against God. Like they were sinning, they were doing all kinds of things I don't even want to imagine. Um, it's kind of like some of these people in our society today that's coming to the forefront of some dirty things that they've been doing. This is what was popping off in Sodom. All right. So at that part, Abram parted ways and Abram settled in Canaan. You know, that's the land that the Lord was going to promise him anyway, but that's where he ended up settling at. So after they split up, the Lord took Abram. Mind you, it looks like Abram got the short end of the stick. It looks like Abram got the leftover land, right? But that ain't how God worked. You feel me? So once they split up, the Lord took Abram and was like, look around. Look as far as you can. North, south, east, west, up, down, round, and round, right? Look everywhere that you can, and everything that you see is about to belong to your family and your bloodline and your kids and your kids' kids and your kids' kids, all of your descendants. This is about to be y'all's. He told Abram that he would have so many descendants that they would be like the dust of the earth. And dust can't be counted. He said you won't even be able to count them. Dust cannot be counted. So you won't even be able to count them. So God told Abram, this is the thing that like tripped me out because I remember my friend doing this about this building that we were trying to get for this program that she's still gonna start, by the way. I mean she hasn't done it yet, but she's still gonna start it. Um God told Abram to walk that land and take authority of that land. Like, this is yours. You walk it and you claim it. Like, you might not see it now, but you walk this thing and you claim it because it's yours. I promised it to you. I said you could have it. I remember when me and my husband were trying to buy this house and we didn't have no money, y'all. I ain't even gonna lie to you. We didn't have no money. And God was like, if you want it, it's yours. So every time we came to the city that we live in now, I would be like, all right, let's ride by that house. Let's ride by the house. We ain't even got to go there. We ain't even got to go in because obviously we didn't own it at the time. But we going by that house. We going out there. We praying about it and we leaving. Every time we hit this city, we came by this house. We prayed about it and we left. Like God said it was ours, so we claiming it as ours. And that's exactly what we did. And that's exactly what he told Abram to do because he's like, listen, I've already given you this. Take ownership. Walk around it. Claim what's yours in the spirit. All right. Nobody, they weren't even thinking about that then. But 2026, we're claiming the things that we want, or claiming the things that God has already promised us. It's not even that we want it. God has already promised this to us. We don't have to work for it. We might have to fight a little bit for it because Abram had to fight for his. But it's ours nonetheless. It is ours nonetheless. If God promised it, you can bet your bottom dollar on that, buddy. All right. So Abram moved his tents near the tree of Mamre at Hebron. Mamre is actually a person. He's an Amorite, but we'll get into that later. And that's where he built another altar to the Lord and worshiped him. Every move Abram made it seem like he was building altars to the Lord. He was making sure that the Lord knew that he was worthy to be praised. All right, because he is. Now, imagine, I imagine that Abraham was not pressed about where he would land. Excuse me, when he gave Lot the option of choosing anywhere in the land to go. I am assuming that he was not pressed at all because he already knew God was going to take care of him. You can take whatever land. You can take the land that looks the best. You can take the fertile looking land, and it ain't even what you think it is. It ain't even as good as what you think it is. Nonetheless, God was taking care of Abram, Big Abram, all right? And that's where they settled at. Lot was in his Sodom, city of Sodom. Abram was over by the trees on Mamre's property. And that's where they settled at. Okay, so moving right along. By this time, Abram and Lot had settled in their respective places. You know, Lot was in Sodom, Abram was near Mamre, right? So, a little after that, war broke out between some kings and some cities, right? So there were the kings of Shinar, Elasar, Elam, and Goim. Mind you, King Kedorlaomer was the king of Elam. Keep that in mind. So those four kings, were against the kings of Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zoabim, and Belaxar. Oh, hi. You already know I'm going to struggle. Y'all know I'm going to struggle. Belaxar. So, the second group of kings, including the ones with Sodom and Gomorrah, teamed up with the Valley of Siddim, which is the Valley of the Dead Sea, right? They were like, listen, we're going to all meet up there. We're going to get together. For 12 years, they had been subjected to the king, Kedorlaomer. But in the 13th year, they were like, yeah, we done with this. So, in doing a little research, I realized that the reason why they were quote unquote subjected to this king was because when cities had been taken over before, like when they had been conquered before, they were taken over by Kedorlaomer, right? And they were supposed to pay tribute to him because they had been conquered. And they did that. They played along with the rules for 12 years. But then they got sick and tired of it and was like, yo, I'm tired of paying tribute to this dude. Like, he ain't even nobody. Okay. So they popped off. We ain't doing this, we ain't doing that, bro. We ain't about to sit here and pay tribute to you. We're not gonna keep doing that. Your boy Kedorlaomer didn't like that. And he was like, listen, I'm about to get him. I'm about to get them. They ain't paying tribute no more. I'm about to get them. Mind you, that was 5 kings in the second group. You know, Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zoabim, and Belak. Yeah, 5 kings, right? So a year after that, he let it simmer for a little bit. He was like, I'm gonna give him a little time, but then he was like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna get me and my crew. So the first group of kings, the kings from Shinar, Elasar, Elam, and Goim, I'm about to get them, and we about to go take out some people. So they went and defeated the Raphites, the Zuzazites, the Emites, and the Horites as far as El Paran, right? Which is at the edge of the wilderness, okay? Then they circled the block. They circled back around and went to En Mishpah, which now is Kadesh later on. And so there they conquered the Amalekites and the Amorites, right? After that, the second group had prepared to go to war with Big K in the Valley of the Dead Sea. But you gotta realize, yo, that was like 4 kings against 5 kings. You know, they brought them, it ain't just 4 against 5 fighting, it's 4 groups, 4 clans, 4 tribes or whatever, fighting against 5 groups and clans and tribes. Like, it was 4 against 5. Like, y'all, it's a little uneven if you ask me. But Big K, you know, he was like, they about to pay tribute or they about to get whooped. And he was right. So in the Valley of Siddim, or the Dead Sea, it was a lot of tar pits there, right? So when the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah tried to run away, and their crew tried to run away, some of the people fell into the tar pits. Now, tar is like black and sticky, and it's kind of hard to get out of there. They fell. Some of their men fell in there, and the rest ran for the hills. They was like, we about to hide out in the hill country. We about to hide because we getting our tails whooped. Y'all should have known not to mess with Big K, right? So Big K's crew took all the goods and all the food from Sodom and Gomorrah's crew, and they dipped out. When they dipped out, they carried out Lot and everything that Lot had while he was living in Sodom. So going back to, just because Lot thought the land looked good, you settled in a place that's got a lot of turmoil, a lot of animosity, a lot of fighting, a lot of stuff that you didn't even know that you was about to sign up for. But that's where you chose to go because the grass was green over there. Just because the grass was green don't mean it's good, baby. Everything that glitters ain't gold, all right? So, somebody in the camp from Lot's crew escaped and ran and told Abram what happened. Mind you, again, Abram was living near the big oak trees on Mamre's property, the Amorite, and he had some brothers, Eshcol and Aner. All of them were Abram's allies at the time. So, what Abram do? Abram, big boy, all right? I'm telling you, big Abram, not the little one, all right? So, after learning about what happened a lot, Abram went into beast mode and was like, all right, we about to go get him back. It's kings fighting kings, and I'm little old Abram. I'm about to go get my boy back. So, he gathered 318 men that were born out of his household. Mind you, Abram didn't have no kids at the time. So all of these people were coming from his servants, right? All of his servants, 318 trained. The Bible says trained men. When I tell you Big Abram was TTG, his crew was trained to go, okay? He didn't have to pull from no other places. This was Abram's crew. Like, all these people been rocking with Abram, right? So they pursued them as far as Dan. And then at night, Abram was like, listen, we about to split up. We going to attack, right? And they went as far as Hobah, which is north of Damascus. So Abram, big Abram, got back everything that was taken, including Lot and all Lot's stuff. And he got other people. He got goods. He got food. All of that. He got all of that back. Big Abram against 4 kings, right? Think about that. Think about the favor of the Lord that Abram has on his life to be able to defeat 4 kings and get one dude back. All right. So when Abram got back, the king of Sodom met him at the valley of Sheva, which is the king's valley. Melchizedek, which was the king of Salem, he's not been mentioned before, brought bread and wine out to them because Melchizedek was a high priest of the Lord. And when Abram got back, he blessed Abram, right? He was like, listen, Abram, you are blessed by the Most High God for delivering, the God has delivered your enemies into your hands. And so Abram gave Melchizedek 1/10 of everything that he recovered. Thank you for your blessing, sir. Let me go ahead and break you off a piece of this that I already got. I plundered, right? So the king of Sodom, mind you, he already got his tail beat. They already had to run for the hills. Half his people ended up in the tar pit. He gonna come to Abram and was like, hey, can I have my people back? Bro, I did this. But whatever, that ain't even the type of time Abram was on. He was like, can I have my people back? Abram was like, I'm going to let you have everything. I'm going to let you have your people, your goods, your food. I'm going to let you have everything. Because what you not about to do is say that you made Abram rich. Abram meant that thing. I'm telling you, big Abram meant that thing. What you not about to do is say that you're the reason why I am wealthy, or why I am rich, or why I'm successful, or why I'm prosperous. You can have everything. Take it all. I don't even want it. The only thing that I want, Lot, he coming. No question. And I need you to take care of my crew. Mamre, Eshcol, Anner. Let them have their share of the goods. And anything else that my people done ate, that's all we taking. You can have all of that stuff back. We don't want none of it. Listen, Big Abram, not the little one, okay? Baby, I am still tripping off the fact that we talking about Big Abram and not the little one because he had to go get Lot from Big K and his crew. I'm just like, yo, that was a gangster move if I do say so myself. But anyway, sometime later, God came to Abram in a vision and he was like, listen, don't be afraid. I'm your shield. I'm going to protect you and your reward will be great. So Abram, he like, okay, but listen, I don't know what you want me to do because I don't have no kids, right? How is this going to happen if I don't have no kids? One of my servants is going to have to be my heir. Eleazar of Damascus, who is my servant, is next in line in my household. Like, I don't have nobody to pass this on to, Lord. Like, you sit here talking about you about to make me great, but I don't have no heir. I don't have anybody to pass this on to. I don't have no kids. I don't have nobody. God was like, nah, that ain't about to be your heir. You're going to have a son, and that's going to be your heir. He took Abram outside and was like, look at all of the stars in the sky. Count them if you want to, if you can. That's how many people are going to be in your bloodline. That's how many descendants you're going to have. I promise you. I promise you. And so, Abram believed God. Like, he was like, all right. And because Abram believed God about that promise that he could not yet see, the Lord counted him as righteous because of his faith, right? That's why Abram, later known as Abraham, is acknowledged as being a man of great faith throughout the Bible. Because he believed God when circumstances told him not to. When circumstances didn't look like what God was promising, when God is sitting here promising you to have descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky, and yet you have not a now one. When God is promising you that you're going to move out of the place that you're living and you don't have a dime, that was me. If we being honest, that was me. God said, I'm gonna let you go somewhere. But I'm like, Lord, I ain't got no money. What we doing? And he showed up. I ain't even gonna lie. He showed up. So that is what great faith looks like to us. That is what great faith looks like. Is believing the promises that God is giving you when you can't see none of it. You can't see how it's going to happen. You can't see when it's going to happen. You can't see nothing but where you're at currently. And God said, don't worry about it. I got you. Even if we just look at the stuff that's happened in this episode. Lot tried to give Abram the leftovers of the land. And God was like, I'm going to bless this. You're going to have it all. And he couldn't see it because you now living on somebody else's property. Like, when he had to go up against all of these kings just to get Lot back, and the Lord was with him then. Think about how many times God has showed up for you on things that you didn't even think was possible. Think about how God sat there and pulled you out of some things that you got yourself into. Think about how God is like, I'm going to bless your life. And some of us right now are living in those promises that God made to us. God promised me I was going to have kids. Look at me, little baby running around. God made promises to us, and we don't even think about the fact that God answered some of these. We are living in answered prayers. Some of us are living in answered prayers, even if they were little prayers. Even if they were, God, please bless my health, and you've been to the doctor and have never had a bad report. Think about that. Think about how God continues to provide a roof over your head when you don't even have any money to pay for it. All right? Think about how God makes sure that you eat every day when you don't have the money to pay for it. Think about how God shows up for you on so many levels and you don't even know how. Because God is a God who keeps his promises. And so when Abram heard that God was going to allow his descendants to be as numerous as the stars in the sky, he believed God because God ain't never lied to him. God ain't never failed him. God ain't never turned his back on him. God ain't never let him down. And the same goes for you. God ain't never lied to you. God ain't never let you down. God ain't never turned his back on you. Situations might happen in the earth, situations might happen in the world, and you might blame it on God, but it might not have been him. Think about that. Oh, you lost somebody close to you. That might not necessarily been God. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But the Bible tells us later in the story, all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. So don't dare think that God has ever let you down, or that God has ever lied to you, or that God has ever put you in a situation that is going to bring damnation on you. God is always doing things good for us, whether we like it or not, whether we acknowledge it or not, whether we want to admit it or not. God is good all the time. And all the time, God is good. Just because bad things happen don't mean that God is not good. Know that. Know that. So, as you continue to listen to this, remember to thank God for the blessings that you have. Thank God for what he's promised you and what he's already done. If he don't do nothing else, he's already been good enough for us. You sit here listening to this podcast on whatever device you're on, that's a blessing. Some people don't even have that. But we bless God for the things that he has done. Don't take for granted the things that God has done and you haven't thanked him for. I saw this sign on a church bulletin one time. It said, "What if tomorrow you only woke up with the things that you thank God for yesterday?" And ever since then, I'm like, God, I thank you for everything. I thank you for my house. I thank you for my family. I thank you for my life. I thank you for providing for me. I thank you for protecting me. I thank you because you ain't never failed me. And so, Abraham counted as a man of great faith because he knew that God had never lied to him. God would never let him down. God was a good God. God is a good God. So, God reminded Abram that he was the one who brought him out of Ur of the Chaldeans so that he could possess the land that God has given him. You remember that? God told Abram, hey, get up out of here. Leave this area where you're at with your family and go to a place I'm going to show you because that's going to be yours. God did that. God reminded him. God reminded Abram of who he was. God reminded Abram, hey, you remember I did that? Don't forget that because I'm still walking with you. I'm still rocking with you. I'm still holding your hand and being with you throughout this process. Like, I'm still with you. Don't worry about nothing else. I promise you. So, like some of us, Abram is like, hey, how do I know that this really going to happen, though? How do I know that I'm actually going to possess the land? I don't think Abram was really questioning God. He was looking more for confirmation, like, God, what's going to be the sign that this is really about to happen? I mean, rightfully so, because God telling him he about to have all of this stuff, and Abram can't see it because he's living in tents on somebody else's land. So, what God did was he told Abram, bring me a 3-year-old heifer, which is a female cow. Bring me a 3-year-old goat. Bring me a 3-year-old ram, a dove, and a young pigeon. Abraham brought God all of that stuff, cut them in half. He didn't cut the birds, though. Cut them in half and put the halves opposite each other. So, like, he basically split them down the middle and had, like, a little centerpiece in between, like a little strip in between to separate them. He put them side by side. Some vultures tried to come and eat what he had cut up and all of that, but he fanned them away, chased them away, like, no, go ahead and get out of here. I don't know why they put that in there, but I would like to say that sometimes the enemy will try to send vultures to steal your blessings. They can't steal nothing that God has already ordained, but they can try to make you think that you're not going to have what you are supposed to have. But remember, God is not a man that he should lie, nor the son of man that he should ever repent. So, around sundown, Abram fell into a deep sleep, and a thick, terrifying cloud of darkness fell over him, right? So, as this cloud is over him, God told him that his descendants would be strangers in the land. Like, basically, your people about to be some unknown wanderers out here in these streets. They gonna be strangers in the land that you don't own. Like this not yours, and your people gonna be slaves for 400 years. They gonna be mistreated, and that's gonna be what it is. But don't you worry about that, because yeah, your descendants about to have to go through some rough times. They about to be beat and ridiculed and all of that for 400 years. They about to live in slavery for 400 years. But don't worry about it, because I'm gonna punish the country that makes them slaves. And when y'all come out of there, y'all are gonna have a lot of possessions, a lot of wealth. Y'all about to run the show once y'all come out of that slavery situation. He also mentioned that Abram would die in peace and he would be buried at a ripe old age. Like, I'm not gonna let this happen right now. I'm gonna let you miss all of that. I don't want to subject you to that and the pain that comes with thinking about that or living through that. I'm gonna let you, like, come on out of here, live a great life. You're gonna have a wonderful time, and you're gonna die in peace, and you're gonna be buried with your fathers, and it's gonna be great. You ain't even gonna have to worry about it. Your life is gonna be very, very prosperous, and you're gonna be all right. So he also told him, listen, after 4 generations of people, your people gonna come back to the land of Canaan, because then the Amorites are gonna have to get up out of here. Right now, their sins are not great enough to have them destroyed yet. Their sins are not great enough for me to have to kick them out and take over them. They're not at that level yet. But by then, 400 years from now, oh, they going to be running rampant in Canaan, and I'm going to let y'all have that land. So, when the sun had gone completely down, and it got dark outside by this time, Abram saw a smoking fire pot. I just think of a pot of fire just sitting there, right? And it had a flaming torch. I just think of a pot and a torch just sitting there. And it passed through the two halves of the offering that he set out for the Lord. And so at that time, the Lord made a covenant with Abram that his descendants would possess the very land from the border of Egypt to the Euphrates River. They would possess the land that they're on now. This land is now occupied by the Kenites, the Kenizzites, the Kadamites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Raphites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Girgashites, and the Jebusites. But all of this about to be y'all's. I promise you that. Big Abram, not the little one. All right, y'all. That's been another episode of the Urban Bible Podcast. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you got something out of it. I pray that something that was said or done today prompts you to get into your word and to grow closer in your relationship with God. I really hope that y'all be liking these things. I really hope that you get something out of it, because sometimes the Lord takes over and your girl just be sitting here. I promise you. But I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that it was something in there that really prompts you to get into your relationship with God, like really deepen your relationship with God on that level. As always, if you have any prayer requests, you could email me at theurbanbiblepod@gmail.com. I have enjoyed my time with y'all. I hope that you have enjoyed the time, and I look forward to getting into some more of this story of Genesis in the next episode. I love y'all.